The first thing we're gonna do, remove the screw farthest forward on the fender, the 3 screws up underneath the lower portion of the fascia. You repeat both of those steps for the opposite side, and then remove the 2 screws located directly in the center. The next thing we're gonna do is remove the hood. Just go ahead and set it aside for the time being. Then we're gonna remove the 2 push pins located here. Remove the 2 T30 Torx located here, as well as here. And once you got them removed, pick up on the fenders a little bit, and you can slide the grill all out together, just like that. We'll go ahead and set this aside for just a moment. Next, you're gonna grab the longer of the 2 M12 bolts, 2 flat washers, as well as your bracket. Then just take your flat washer, put it on the bolt. There's provided Loctite in the kit, but we have Loctite, so we're just gonna go ahead and apply some to the threads here. I'm gonna do this for both of the bolts. Just make sure you get a good even coat. Then we're gonna take the bracket, and it's gonna install just like this, with the short lip facing up and facing forward. Your bolts will just drop in just like this. And they're gonna slide into these 2 factory holes right here. Once you have them good and started, go ahead and fully tighten all the hardware. Next, we're gonna grab our front fascia. We're gonna remove the factory grill by removing all the hardware, securing it to the fascia. Then we're gonna, using the same hardware, attach the new SuperATV grill. Once we have our grill installed, we're gonna go ahead and reinstall the front fascia to the machine. Just slide right up underneath the headlights. On both sides. Just want to make sure that the lower portion of the fascia is pulled out enough so you can get your screws started back in there. So all we're going to do now is just put these top 2 push pins in to keep everything in place while we install the bumper. Now that it's time to get the bumper installed, make sure that these 2 bungs are lined up with the bracket through the grill, and the lower 4 bolts will line up right down here on the frame of the machine. So we're going to take the shortest hardware in the hardware kit. We're going to apply a good amount of Loctite to the threads, and we're just going to sit the bumper up here just like this. And there's going to be a hard plastic piece. You can kind of push it back in behind the frame, and you're just going to take your bolt, stick it through your bracket, get your bumper lined up, and go ahead and get them started. You don't want to fully tighten any of the hardware attaching the bumper to the machine yet. Next, we're going to grab our winch plate that comes with the winch. We already have our fair lead installed. All you're going to do is take the provided Allen headed screw with the nut. Make sure that the Allen head portion is going on the recessed side of the fair lead. And we're just going to sit it right onto the bumper and just get it lined up with these holes. Then we're going to grab our winch. Just kind of sit it in place here. Before we get it bolted down, we want to take our winch rope and feed it through the fair lead, just like this. Get it all pulled through. We're just going to line all our holes up with the bracket to the winch, and then we're going to use our provided hardware and the winch kit to attach it to the bumper. Now that we have all our hardware started on our winch, we're going to go through, reattach all the pieces of fascia, tighten all our hardware for the factory screws as well as the ones for the winch. And we're going to install our clevis hook and pull strap. You just want to stick the pin through and then bend the cotter pin away from itself. Then we're gonna jump right in and get started on the wiring. Next, we're gonna remove both seats from the machine. The driver's side, all you're gonna have to do is pull the latch up and remove it. On the passenger side, you gotta remove these 2 screws. Remove all the hardware, secure in the center console to the machine, and then remove all the hardware, secure in the handle. Now that we've removed all the hardware, we can remove the handle to access the last screw here. Once we've done that, we're going to go ahead and remove the rear cover off the console by twisting this knob. Then we're going to grab a hold of the shifter, remove it. Then we're just going to go ahead, grab the back side of our console, pick straight up. Then remove it from the machine. Next, we're going to be installing our solenoid to our machine. The awesome thing about our kit is that you can install the solenoid anywhere you'd like. We found that right here on the power steering bracket is the best place. What we did, we laid our solenoid in place, we marked the holes, and we drilled them. And we got 2 5mm bolts with nylock nuts, and that's how we're going to be attaching it to the frame today. So we're just going to go ahead, get one of our bolts and nuts. Line our solenoid up with our holes. We're just going to go ahead and get our nuts started on both sides. Once we have them both started, we're going to go ahead and fully tighten all the hardware. Next, we're going to grab our winch wires that are going to connect to the hot and the ground on the winch, as well as the solenoid. We're going to take them just like this. We're going to run it up through the previously installed grill. We're just going to start feeding them through. Just have to peel this plastic piece back just enough to get our hand in there. And we're going to run them through this portion of the plastic where it's cut out. We're just going to continue feeding them. Pull a pretty good amount of slack up through here. We're going to take both of our wires and run them right over top the headlight. Then there's an opening right here. We're just going to take the wires, run them right back through here. And once you get them ran through that one opening, they're going to come right through the factory shock bracket. That way they run out just like that. What we're going to do, we're just going to feed all of our excess or slack towards the inside. You want to make sure you keep all that underneath the hood rather than out here on the winch side. Get all our excess pulled through. Then we're going to come out here to the front to our winch. We're going to take our blue wire and put it onto the blue post. And then we're going to take the yellow wire and put it onto the yellow post. You're going to want a washer, the blue wire, another washer, and then the nut. Repeat the same steps for the yellow wire, then go through and tighten both the yellow and the blue wire to the stud on the winch. Then we're going to take the boot and slide it right over the nut as well as the post. These can be tight sometimes. All you really need to do is just take it, get it started over the top of the nut there, and then just wiggle it on. Then we're going to head inside here to the solenoid. We're going to kind of get our excess pulled to the inside. Then every single one of these studs is going to be marked with a color. So for example, the farthest left is going to be the blue stud. Now we're going to take our blue wire, we're going to remove the nut as well as lock washer and washer from the stud. We're going to take the blue wire, we're gonna go ahead and attach it. Just gonna make sure whenever you attach it that you put it in a good spot to where it's not gonna get in the way of any other wires going on. So we got that one started. We're gonna slide the washer on first, then our lock washer, and we're gonna thread our nut on. We're not gonna fully tighten it yet, just in case we need to rotate it around or move it to a different location. And we're gonna repeat the same exact steps for the yellow wire on the yellow stud. Next, we're gonna grab our hot and ground wires that are gonna attach to the battery as well as the solenoid. What we're gonna do, we're gonna start by going right underneath the coolant tank, right over top of the frame. We're just gonna keep feeding them down until they drop down into the inside of the machine. Once they've dropped down, we're gonna head into the machine and continue to pull the wires through. So now that we're inside, we're gonna grab our wires. We're gonna feed them to the passenger side. I'm just gonna run them all the way down the frame, just like this. We're gonna sit them down, and we're gonna disconnect the hot as well as the ground cable. Once you've removed your bolt, then we're gonna put our washer on our bolt, slide it through our hot wire. We're gonna slide it through the cables on the battery, and we're gonna get it started right down into the block on the battery. And we're gonna do the same exact thing for the ground wire. Once you fully tighten both of the studs on the battery for the hot and the ground post, we're gonna take our rocker switch and run it up to connect it to the solenoid. You can do this any way you'd like. You can take one of the factory covers out and you can just run your wires directly through here, or you can run them up through here and then, you know, bring it out in behind the trim panel here, mount it on the dash. Any way you'd like to do it. Today, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna run it right through the rocker switch hole. Just gonna start feeding it through. We're gonna come up from the front. We have our hot and ground wires that we just attached to the battery. So now what we're gonna make sure that they're routed in a good position. Looks like they're running right over top the center portion of the frame rail here, and that's gonna be perfect for us. So we're gonna take our hot wire or our red wire and attach it to the red post on the solenoid. Try to route them as neatly as you can. And remember, washer, lock washer, and then nut. We're gonna do the same exact thing for our ground wire for the black stud. Fully tighten all the wires to the solenoid and then pull the boots over top the nuts. Once you've done that, you're gonna grab your wire from your hardwired rocker switch and you're gonna attach it to this connector coming off the solenoid. Plug right in like that. Then you'll just thread the nut on there. Just get it pretty good and tight. Then we're gonna take our keyed on source wire, our accessory power wire, and we're gonna attach it to the machine to its accessory power. On the Wildcat XX, they have a plug located right back in here. We're gonna reach up underneath the dash and locate the plug labeled SWACC-A. What we're gonna do, there's gonna be 3 ground posts and then 3 hot posts. They're all gonna be bullet connectors, female and male. All of the hots are gonna be female and all of the grounds will be male. So we have a male connector on our hot keyed on source wire here, and we're gonna plug that in to the female side of the plug. Go through, make sure all your connections are tight, reinstall your factory components, and that's how super easy it is to install SuperATV's winch and winch bumper on a Textron Wildcat XX. For more information on this winch or winch bumper or any of SuperATV's great products, feel free to give us a call at 855-743-3427 or check us out online at superatv.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.